Hello and welcome back to the Dance Your Life podcast. We are live here on Facebook with Chad Geiger. So incredibly excited. And Chad, how are you today?
I'm doing so good. How are you?
Well, really good after seeing your tie-dye sweatshirt. I
Oh,
love
thank you.
you can't see him right now and you're just listening because I'm totally into tie-dye right now. And we're actually gonna make our dance competition shirts tie-dye this year. So that's why I'm like,
Oh,
yeah,
I love that.
yeah.
It's got you can't see it. It says "Be kind," which is
Oh, I love it even more.
I saw it and was just like, I have to have that. I have to wear that.
Chad, okay, side note, where'd you get that?
There is an online store called I think it's called Thoraya, Thoraya, and she sells a lot of stuff like that. Just sweatshirts that say like "Be nice" or
Oh,
"Hug your
yeah.
homies," like positive messages. I
Your
love it.
homies. Okay, I wrote it down. I'm going to check it out. Totally. I love that stuff. Yeah, I would love that sweater. Well, Chad, we're going to jump into the interview because I want everybody and myself to get to know you a little bit better. We're going to start with our warm up with some rapid fire questions. First question, where'd you grow up?
I grew up in Dallas, Texas.
Yeah, Texas boy. Okay, and where do you live now?
I live in Los Angeles, California.
Oh, Cali, right next to myself. And when you were growing up, who were your dance role models?
Oh my gosh. For sure, my hometown mentors. Shout out to Jen Kaiser and Nikki Winters. They're the reason I am where I am and the reason I got any kind of career in dance. And probably the dancer I looked up to most was Chaz Buzan.
Oh,
Uh,
yeah. Mhm.
just alien. So good. So talented.
Well, shout out to the dancers that have inspired us, right, to create our lives. How old were you when you choreographed your first dance? And Chad, what song was it?
Oh no. Um,
I love this
I
question.
was I was probably 19 or 20. I was a late bloomer. I didn't start dancing. Oh, this is supposed to be rapid fire. I didn't start dancing until later. And so I think the first time I choreographed was in college. It was to Curly Love is Dead. It was super dramatic and super dark
Super
and
emo.
yeah,
A lot of
just
heart.
that time
Yeah.
in my life.
Got it. You're one of those stages. Okay, yeah, totally get it. Our choreography goes with our life. Love it, Chad. Okay, last question. What's your favorite quote?
um, okay. I don't know if this is a quote because I don't know if it was. I don't know who said it or who said it first. It's just one of those things that pops up on your Instagram every so often. Just you are where you're supposed to be.
Ooh,
Just that reminder of if you're especially now during quarantine and during everything that's going on in the world, just that reminder of like you want to be doing somewhere else, but you're where you're supposed to be, and so you can be content with what's happening right now.
Yeah, Chad, I really like that saying because, well, this is where I fall short on that one. And I wonder if anybody out there is listening and let me know what you think. Sometimes I use it as a crutch. Do you get what I'm
Mm.
saying? So like, oh, I'm here, so let me just succumb to what's happening and then lie down and be a doormat. And I wonder if that quote actually has some deeper meaning of you are where you're supposed to be and what will you choose next?
For sure, and I don't think it's. Um, I mean, it shouldn't be a cover up for not working hard and not putting forth your best effort. I think it's giving it, doing everything you can do, and being okay with where you're at.
Amen. Totally got it. Yeah. But sometimes I would use it to the like as a excuse for me, I just as
Mhm.
myself. And I'm like, oh, I'm copying out because I'm using like, oh, I'm just here. And so here's my life. Yeah. So anybody else out there, I love that, Chad. Let's go into the choreography part and go a little bit deeper into some of the questions. Tell us about your journey because you came from Texas and you were a gymnast before, right? So how did you get into dance? And how did you start with gymnastics?
I became a gymnast because I wanted to be a spy kid, straight up. No deeper reason than that. Yeah,
So you saw
I
was
saw
that the
Spy.
movie, right?
Yeah, the movie. Yeah, I saw Spy Kids and I was like, that's what I want to do with my life. And I thought being a gymnast would help me get there for some reason. So
That's
um,
amazing.
that's what started that whole kick. And then after high school, because I knew I wasn't going to do gymnastics in college, I wasn't good enough. It's one of those things like you get to 19, 20, if you're still doing gymnastics, you're making a career out of it. And I just knew that wasn't the path for me. Um, But I've always been intrigued with dance. And so I'd seen like, the step up movies. And so you think you could dance. And I was like, well, I already know how to point my toes and straighten my legs. So let's just get in a dance
Try
class
this
and see
thing.
what happens. Yeah, yeah. And so I fell into a couple of jobs almost by accident, just because I was in the community learning.
Mhm.
And that's when I was like, oh, this is where I'm supposed to be. This is what I'm supposed to be doing. So yeah, actually at the time I was supposed to go to college and be a graphic designer, and I had a whole career set up. I had a job lined up for when I left college, and about 3 weeks before I was supposed to leave, I was presented with a huge teaching opportunity.
For
Um,
dance?
and so for dance,
Mm.
for teaching dance,
In Los Angeles, or was this in Texas?
I was still in Texas at this time.
Mm.
My home studio all of a sudden had an opening, and just I stayed up all night one night, just planning everything out. Didn't sleep at all, and I called my parents immediately the next day, and I made a plan. I said, I don't think I'm going to be going to college, but this is what I'm going to be doing. And I laid out how I was going to save money, how I was going to create a future for myself. Um, and so 3 weeks before I was supposed to go to college and embark on a career as a graphic designer, I transitioned and I became a dancer full time, or a dance teacher.
That's inspiring, Chad. That sounds similar to myself because I think when there's an opportunity, I was at a dance studio and this one teacher that had like 5 days, of 5 classes a day. So you're at 25 classes, right? She was leaving and the studio owner's like freaking out. Well, how am I going to fill these? And it was just like, I'll take them. Right. And it just totally changed my life. Did you teach that many type of classes, or was it like the one once a week, or and you came into that studio?
Oh no, I taught 7 days a week. I was full
Wow.
time, and
7 days.
7 days. It was too much. It was too much.
Heck yeah.
At
That's
the
a
end
lot
of
of
that year, I pulled
choreography.
back and I was like, I need at least one day off. But at the time, it was the kick in the butt that I needed to jumpstart and go into dance full time. So
Yeah, I think when you're a teacher, when you teach dance, it just really projects you that way and learning all aspects. Because you can either be a choreographer, performer, or teacher, or maybe a compilation of two, right? Are you more of a teacher, or would you say you're the others?
I think it's transition. Part of the reason I moved out to Los Angeles was because I wasn't allowing space for growth for myself as a dancer, because I was working with kids full time. And I loved my job and I loved the kids I was working with, but I decided that if I wanted to try and make it as solely as a dancer, then I needed to allow myself the time and space to do that. So I made a move to Los Angeles so that I could pursue that opportunity, just for no other reason than to say if I tried.
Mm.
So at this point, I'm not teaching very much, and I would consider myself a dancer.
Hmm. So you enjoy that the most, dancing or performing, being on stage? Is that your most favorite, you would say?
I think my favorite is dancing in a classroom setting. Just the energy of the people around you, excited and driven towards one common purpose. And that happens in performing a lot too. But sometimes a performance is just a job. You're getting on stage and you're doing something for somebody else. When you're in the classroom, that's just for yourself. And so you go into that classroom and you do what you need for you. If it's just to feel good one day, if it's to work on your own technique and your own growth, or if you just want to go in and have a good time. So for me, the classroom is the best space to be in as a dancer.
Chad, that's really interesting because I've been in a part of my life right now where I'm kind of playing and dancing with the question of how can I show up for me first and then serve others? Because I used to do the latter before. It was like give, 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 give. And I was exhausted. And so I've been playing this whole during this pandemic of how can I show up for me first? Like it's all about me. It's all about me. And then I actually can give more. You get what I'm saying? So I
Love that.
wonder,
Yes.
like, um, can you notice, or have you noticed for yourself or in others, when you're in class, you can notice the dancers that are showing up for others or the ones that show up for themselves and they actually dance differently and invite people in energetically to watch them.
Oh,
You get what I'm
yes.
saying?
Yeah. And some people I think are just gifted at that, just gifted naturally. They
Yes.
walk into a room and you immediately feel
Are
their energy.
drawn like a magnet. And
Absolutely, absolutely.
they're
And
glowing when they're dancing, especially as a person. But you were gonna say something. What was that?
oh, I've already forgotten.
It was that good, huh?
I think yeah, I think we all have a little bit of that in us, but I think sometimes it's hard to find to pinpoint that within yourself and to be able to draw it out. Um, I think that's all I have to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get, but so everybody listening, like just kind of playing with that idea of, and again, like I haven't mastered it. I'm just kind of like playing with it. Like, let's just say the chat with you and myself right now, like, how can I show up for me so that I can serve Chad even more and our listeners rather than I show up for everybody else and then I'm left depleted and exhausted? And is that really showing up for you? So I wonder, dancers, the ones that stand out, it's like, why did she make it? And this other girl's just as talented, but she didn't. Is it because it, she had her walls up and you don't, she wasn't able to invite others in energetically when they're on stage? Because you can see those that just, your eyes move to them, right? So I wonder, I'm just throwing that out there. But tell us about the first time you landed your first job, Chad. What was it? And that feeling like, oh my gosh, I made $1. Like, this is working, right?
Oh yeah. Oh man. Well, there's a couple ways I could go with that. I'll talk about the first job I booked out here in LA. Um, I got really lucky, and I landed an agent almost immediately when I moved out here, and that's probably the hardest part of getting into this industry out here is
Yeah.
finding an agent.
Was that your first
Someone
audition, Chad, for an agent?
No, I got really lucky and I got walked into an agency. So I
Nice.
didn't even have to. I actually I did go to a couple auditions and I didn't get taken by any agents.
Mhm.
A friend and choreographer walked me into an agency and said, "I believe in this guy. You should put him on your roster."
Got it. And how old are you
Um,
then, Chad?
I would have been 25, 26.
Okay.
I came to Los Angeles a little bit later. Um, but yeah, so this would have been 4 years ago now. Um, But my first audition with the agency that I landed was for a music video. And I remember they sent a lookbook and they sent, this is everything you need to have when you walk into this audition. It was very last minute. And I showed up and almost everybody showed up in dance clothes. Nobody wore what they asked for the audition.
Hmm.
And then through the choreography, they kept saying, okay, now we want you to take a deep breath here, like a gasp. And it was so weird because we had all these dancers, they were asking for very specific things, and the dancers were just showing up and doing the bare minimum. And so I think the reason that I booked this job was because I took what they said and I went overboard with it. So when they said to gasp for air, I took the biggest gulp that I could get.
Uh-huh.
And I remember getting an email later that night and just jumping up and down on my couch. Um, it's just that feeling of like, oh, I can do this. I can make it through this, And that was such a relief after, when you leave home, you don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah, it's like proof of concept. This can work. And that feeling of telling others or maybe telling your parents or whomever it was, back home in Texas, your family or whatever it was, I did this. No. Well,
Yeah, yeah.
how about your family? I mean, when you left, were you close with your family or what did people around you think about that? Were they cheering you on?
Of course, yeah. I have a very supportive family. At the time, when I was in Texas, I was still going to college when I started teaching at my home studio. And my parents actually took me out to dinner one night and they sat me down and they said, we understand for this career path you're on, school might not be the most beneficial move for you. So if you need to push college off to the side to pursue this path that you're on, we encourage you to do it. And I was so taken aback at the time. I was like, hold on, no, college is college. You need to go to college. But I gave it some time and they were right.
Yeah.
So they were actually the reason that I took a step back from school and I was able to take that full-time studio job later on. So
Great
my parents
parents.
have always been behind me. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Shout out to your parents. That's admirable. Because what would you tell somebody out there that has the parents that think they're crazy of like, no, you got to go to college. Why do you want to be a dancer? that I find ludicrous, but that's just what would you say to that person?
That's a difficult path to be on, and I think that's probably going to be different for everybody. I
Yeah.
think um, I think keeping an open mind is important because they might be right. You might take what they said and 6 months down the line be like, they knew what was best for me. Because the truth is they might know you better than you know yourself. And that was the case with me for a moment. Um, I think keeping an open mind and exploring options before jumping into anything, especially such a big life-changing move like that, is important.
Yeah, and especially right now, if you're listening to this in real time, we're in the pandemic. We don't know how long it's going to go. We're already into 9 months. With dancing, Chad, how have you been dancing in the last month of the 9 months? What have you been doing and how are you staying motivated through that?
That is a great question. I have been on something of a roller coaster through this pandemic, as I know many people have.
Touche. Touche.
Yeah, yeah.
What roller coaster,
When
Chad? What are you talking
oh
about?
oh my gosh, when we first went into lockdown, I'm somebody who likes to stay busy. I like to have my hand in a lot. Oh, what's the expression? Have my hand in a lot of different. Is it jars?
Yeah, right. Or-
I like to do a lot of different things. And it was in a period of 2 or 3 days where all of a sudden everything was canceled and everything came crashing down. So my
yeah.
roommates will tell you that the first couple of days, I had a hard time convincing myself to get out of bed. It
Wow.
was just that moment of, well, what am I going to get up for? I have nowhere to go. I have nothing to do. Um, so once I pushed past that, then I got to the other side, which is, well, let me just do everything and self better myself as much as I can so that when I get out of this,
Yeah.
um, I'll be prepared. So I went hard for probably about 3 months, but I went so hard that I burned myself out.
Amen. Right. By
Yeah.
June, I think all of us were like, we really need a break. God, life, universe is like, slow down. You're
Yes, 100%.
sad.
So I'm learning in this time, especially because I'm still on lockdown. I'm still at home. I don't have a regular job that I'm going to right now. So I'm trying to find that balance of I'll have one day that's really productive, and then I'll take the next day, feel it out,
Hmm.
and see maybe I have another productive day in me, but maybe I need to take that day for myself. Because expending a lot of that energy, especially when you're at home and you're not going anywhere, that energy is all for yourself. And I've learned that a lot of my motivation comes from others. So a lot of this is exploring for me where that self motivation comes from and where it needs to go to. Um, so a lot of this for me right now is taking it day by day. If I'm feeling a productive day, maybe I'll take half an hour and do some choreography, do a workout. Maybe I'll take a Zoom class if I'm feeling it one day, or I'll teach a class or sub a class for someone else on Zoom.
Hmm.
I think every day demands something different, and especially right now, it's important to listen to yourself and your soul um, for what you need to be doing for yourself that day.
Were you ever taking classes outside or teaching? Did you ever teach during this pandemic outside or take class? Because you're in Los Angeles,
Yeah,
it's very different than other states.
yeah. I actually, my home studio in Texas reached out to me, so I did some online classes for them for a course of 2 or 3 months, just subbing in for other teachers. And then I was a part of the work study program at Movement Lifestyle for a
Mhm.
good 2 years. I started in January of last year. So when they started doing outdoor classes, I was assisting them check
Got it.
people in and
Okay.
make sure everybody was following regulations
Yeah.
for the couple of months until they shut down.
Hmm. Yeah. Shout out
So
to
yeah,
them. Hmm.
super big shout out to Movement Lifestyle. Miss them so much
Absolutely.
already.
Yes. Yeah. I had a dance studio before. This was way before, and a fitness studio. And my fitness studio I closed in July 1st. So I
Oh
get it.
man,
Yeah. And it was a lot of courage, Chad, to kind of foresee and know what was happening. And I'm like, I'm either going to close now and lose, or I'm going to close later and lose more. And
absolutely.
yeah, Chad, I've never been happier. On paper, it doesn't look good. Oh, this happened this year, but I'm actually authentically, genuinely happy. And it's
Wow.
really interesting. But like you said, that roller coaster. But so it's been this, and now I'm like, okay, we're trugging along. Now there's days, right? So anybody listening out there, we've all been on those roller coasters. And my friends, when they're up and I'm down and they'll pick me up and vice versa. So do you have any friends like that? You mentioned your roommates. Like are you reaching out to people, or what are you doing to help get you up on those down days?
Well, like you said, thank God I have roommates, and that I have the roommates that I've had. This is 100% the healthiest living situation that I've ever had. And a couple of them are also dancers, so they understand the page that I'm
That's what I
on.
was going to ask you. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So it's been really special to have them here and to help motivate each other occasionally. I had a project that I had to complete about a month ago. Um, and it was something that I wasn't excited about, but I knew I had to complete. And they were 100% on board with supporting me and giving me the energy that I needed to follow through and complete it.
Hmm.
I think having people like that with you and in your life is so important, especially people that are like-minded with similar passions and drives.
Yeah, absolutely. What would you say, Chad, is the biggest learn or takeaway now that you can see a little more aerial vision? We're not out of it yet, though, but that you've learned from the pandemic as a dancer and slowing down.
The biggest thing I've learned a lot about myself and the way that I need to operate. Um, I think I've learned how to compartmentalize a little bit,
Mm.
which emotionally isn't always the best thing to do. But in terms of um, getting work done and pushing forward just in general, I think that's really important to be able to say, okay, I need to accomplish this at this time, and I need to do this here. And in order to get this done, I need to remove myself and put myself. Sometimes it's just getting outside of my bedroom so that something productive can get done.
Yeah.
Um,
Today I will make my bed. You
Absolutely,
know?
absolutely. Sometimes you sit on that bed too long and nothing's going to happen. So it's
Yeah.
just getting yourself out of the room.
Mhm. Thank you for sharing that honesty, and that, yeah, that it's been ugly and it's been pretty. There's all kinds of moments. Yeah. Uh, with as a dancer, and we're all your eggs in one basket, maybe, so to speak, because everything started canceling, have you created anything new, or like a new stream of income, or any other dancers that you've noticed? Because speaking to so many dancers in the last 9 months, I have realized that a lot of them are starting new streams of things, a little side project, so that when the music starts back up, they could go back on stage, but still have this other stream of something. Are you working on anything like that, or has that contemplated for you?
Yeah, okay, going a little bit farther back, before 2020 happened,
Mhm.
I was kind of not on my way out the door from leaving dance, but pursuing new opportunities.
Oh, were you
My time
falling out of
working,
love with dance? I'm going to jump in here, Chad. Were you falling out of love with dance?
no, I just think I love dance. I'm always going to love dance, but
Mm.
sometimes working as a dancer isn't, it for me doesn't bring the same level of fulfillment. Um,
Okay.
I feel like for me, I need to feel a sense of accomplishment or a sense of work, and sometimes working dance jobs, it's not the same. Well, it didn't quite always do it for me. If I did a music video or I did a movie, nobody's gonna watch that music video and thank God he was in that video.
Yeah.
Um,
Okay.
Nothing really changes. I didn't feel any sense of purpose in
Mm.
my dance. Um, and actually, when I started in movement lifestyle, that's when everything changed for me. I was like, oh, this feels special.
Mm.
So I've been contemplating for a while a career shift into a more supportive role for other dancers. Because to me, there's something so beautiful about seeing a dancer get their first job or finally reach that top tier dream that they've always had. So I've been contemplating a shift behind the scenes into more supportive role. And so what this quarantine has forced me to do is start looking ahead and searching for ways that I can finagle into a role such as that. So a lot of it is for me going to be starting over. So I actually started applying for jobs and going through the interview process for anything that catches my eye right now, anything that I believe can push me in the right direction to be in a supportive role to somebody else.
Mm.
And unfortunately, similar to just dance work itself, there's not a lot of opportunities in that realm opening up. So I have a couple things that I will be starting in 2021, and I'm still searching and I'm still hunting and I'm still working. Um, but yeah, for the time being, I'm still giving it my all. I'm always going to continue dance, um, but I think the dream for me right now is to be able to support dancers and to move forward in that regard.
Thank you for sharing that. Because there was a moment in time where, I mean, I guess I articulated it that I started to fall out of love with dance. But listening to you speak, I'm like, I didn't fall out of love with dance. I fell out of love with the minutia of the whatever of it at that moment, right? And then kind of came back around, almost like a little separation, like we were married and we had a little separation. And I'm going, okay,
Mhm.
I miss you. I would like to come back now. But it wasn't dance. It was all the things, that I'm like,
Yeah.
"Oh, I don't want to do that. I just want to dance." Right. So listening to you, that was very eye-opening. Thank you. And I wonder if that contributed to anybody listening. I'm sure it did. Uh let's gosh, I mean, that was really good, Chad. I think I that was very expansive for me. So we're gonna go into the cool down now. And unless there's anything else you want to share about your journey that you just is like on your heart that you would like to share with the listeners.
Oh my gosh. There's nothing specific, but I'm so grateful. I've been really blessed with a lot of really great people that have helped me carve out my path to where I am. A lot of people. Um, I mean, I wouldn't be where I was today if I didn't have support. Um, and I've been really blessed with a lot of really great people that have helped push me in the right direction and created opportunities for me. Um, so
Yeah.
just shout out to the beautiful people in Los Angeles and the
Yeah.
people back
Amen
home.
to that. I was just listening to another podcast and he was talking about how he hates the saying self-made, like self-made millionaire or self-made whatever, dancer. And he's like, nobody's self-made. Like that's just BS.
Amen.
Amen. Nobody's living on a desert island, self-made millionaire. Like, yeah, right. I had never heard it said that way. And I was like, light bulb. Yeah. And like you said, thank you. Everybody that has helped me, like little stepping stones, little feather touches where they're just helping you in whispers. And it's like, wow. Yeah. If that's why the pandemic has been difficult for us because we are social beings. We want people. We love people, right? For the most part. So I appreciate you saying that. Okay, let's go into our cool down. And
Cool
Chad,
down.
yeah, let's turn down the lights and a little stretch. We're so light and do so well. And big deep breaths. If you came back, in your next life and you weren't a dancer or a gymnast, and what would you do as a career? What would you choose?
Oh man. Well, I think I want to help people in some regard. Um, yeah, I don't know what that is. I don't know what that means, but I think, especially with the direction that I am pursuing right now, I think it needs to be something that makes a difference for others. I think that's what I was called to do. Um,
Mm.
yeah, I don't have a more specific answer than that. But yeah, I think that's the direction I would go in. Something
And I think
supportive.
that's cool because that's where you're moving towards, right? Yeah. And
Yeah.
just talking to you during this time, I could feel your spirit and your heart. And I'm like, you would just
Oh,
rock.
thank you.
You're right.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
you would rock that. Uh, okay, Chad, if you're on a desert island and your
Oh
body can only
no.
do one move for the rest of your life, which one's your favorite? Which one
One
would you choose?
move. Okay. I want to say a jump, but if I'm doing a jump for the rest of my life, I think my knees might die.
So
Um,
logical. I
you
love
know
it.
what? I think I want a Harlem Shake, but like the
Oh,
shoulder Harlem Shake, not the that video thing that went on a
yeah.
while ago. Yeah, I think a good Harlem Shake.
That's a good one. Okay. We haven't had that one yet. Harlem Shake. Okay. Got it. And you're going to come back and help people. Well, last thing, Chad, are there any shout outs? I know you gave a shout out to everybody that helped you, but anybody in specific that you would like to say what's up to right now?
Oh yeah, let me give a shout out to I think Jen, Lynn, and Shannon are all watching. Shout out to my DCW people. Shout out to my movement lifestyle people.
Mhm.
Shout out to all my people. Yeah.
All Chad's people. Shout out.
Shout out.
Yes. And to the all, and be kind. Oh, I love, because you're still at it.
Yes.
Yeah. Be kind.
Yes,
Yeah.
please, please, please.
Chad, it was such a pleasure. I mean, these chats are such a contribution, and I wonder everybody listening, like what they take away and little nuggets here and there. And it was a pleasure. And Chad, it was so nice meeting you and sending love to the future of you, helping more people. Yeah, and changing things that way. Thanks, Chad, and
Thank
thank you
you.
to everybody listening. We appreciate you all. And Chad, are you on Instagram most of the time?
I am. I'm on Instagram. Chad_Geiger.
Got it. And that's Geiger. It'll be in the show notes. If there was anything in this interview that spoke to you, screenshot it and tag him, tag us at Maxed Out Dance on Instagram, and let us know what your takeaway was. Follow Chad if you want to take a class from him or learn how he can help you as well. Chad, stay safe. We appreciate you. We appreciate you and everybody watching and listening. Thank you so much. And remember, dancers, to stand out.